Namaste. Welcome, everybody. No big lesson tonight. It's just a little bit of vibe, chance to reset, to regroup, to replenish. It's said that Tuesday, according to at least HR professionals, Tuesday is the most productive day of the week. And so that means many of you were in beast mode today. Many of you were just grinding away today, accomplishing, getting things done, especially ahead of the holidays. And so that may leave you feeling a little burnt out, a little tired, a little stressed. And so the reality is that there are many ways that we can replenish ourselves, that we can restore ourselves and find a sense of balance. And so today we're going to do one of those, and that is through this act of contemplative life, right? Just in visualizing places, visualizing beautiful aesthetics, training our eyes to focus, and just listening to voice, right? So you'll have my voice, you'll have this vibe that's created, and we're just here to chill and relax. If you have something you want to say, feel free to drop it in the comments. I will try to chat back with you if you would like, but if not, just sit back, relax, and enjoy. So today we're going to be talking about Architectural Digest. They have a list of the most anticipated hotels in 2021. Now, for some of you, these hotels that are featured may be ones that you may think about retreating to, right? When you think about next year and when travel restrictions lift and vaccines are disseminated, perhaps you'll be ready to travel abroad, leave stateside, go and see different places. Since you've been probably, most of us, many of us have been kind of cocooned for a while. And now that it's looking like there's some light at the end of the tunnel, we're finding our rhythm and we're finding our way. And so if that is the case, let's take a moment to find some inspiration in some of these hotels. You may like them, you may not, but we'll see. This list is from Architectural Digest. And so we'll spend the first part of our time together just kind of going through some of the hotels. Nothing in great detail, just kind of vibe and seeing which ones catch our interest. Let me know what you like. I'll let you know which ones I like as well. And then if the vibe is still going, we'll see. We'll check out some of the Airbnbs in Joshua Tree Airbnbs, and that'll be some of our vibes today. All right. So let's start off with the list. And actually, before we do that, let's just take a moment to ground ourselves, right? Since we're here, taking a moment to take a deep breath in, inhale. Finding stability within, release. Inhale. And release. Nicely done. All right. So this first image is of one of the hotels that will be featured. It is the Zigeri Safari Lodge in Botswana. Let me make sure I'm pronouncing that right. Zigera. Let's go with that. Zigera. The Zigera Lodge, Safari Lodge in Botswana. And so let me read you the overview of this list. And so this is from Architectural Digest. Laura Itzkowitz writes it. The title, 18 of the most anticipated high design hotel openings of 2021. After a trying year for the travel industry, it seems we can finally see a flicker of light at the end of the tunnel. 2021 is just around the corner. Coronavirus vaccines are in motion and destinations around the world are starting to reopen. Though many of those new hotels have been delayed, Others are preparing to open after months or years of preparation. From New York City to Sao Paulo, we surveyed the most anticipated new hotels from a design perspective. These are the properties that we can't wait to check out in 2021. So, just hearing that opening, seeing what resonates for you, perhaps some of it may seem like, oh, yeah, I see the light at the end of the tunnel. And for some of you, you may just be feeling like, you know what, I just can't go there right now. And that's totally cool as well. So, let's check out some of the hotels. I'm going to pull it up. So, this first one, the image is a bit small, but it's okay. If you think that it sounds good, you can definitely go check it out. But this first hotel here, this is the Pendry Hotel in West Hollywood. The Pendry Hotel in West Hollywood. It says the third Pendry Hotel and the brand's flagship, Pendry West Hollywood, boasts glamorous design by 80 designer Martin Brudinsky, who was inspired by the city's rich cinematic history. The 149 rooms and 40 residences will channel Hollywood's heyday with rich furnishes and bold colors that add a dash of drama. Wolfgang Puck will head up the hotel's restaurants, which includes a rooftop restaurant, a casual bistro, and a sultry lobby bar, opening in January 2021. And so, what we can see from this image of the hotel is so it almost looks like it's a metallic or metal ceiling. And the lights, there are many lights. They're not doing the whole recessed lights. No, it almost looks like some of those retro bulbs that have that kind of orangish hue to it, amber hue to it. You know, those antique looking bulbs. So an antique looking bulbs arrayed across a metal finish ceiling, and then the and then what looks to be um, couches and chairs. And so the couches are tufted in what looks like a velvet. It almost looks like a dark green velvet color. And the bar looks to be, has rounded edges. It looks like it could be a leather material, but it's very, very rounded edges on the bar. The back of the bar is illuminated, where all the items are arrayed at. So this is looks like a restaurant within the hotel, and it really looks well. It has a mid-century vibe to it, but it also looks very, very modern, and that's what I would say. It's like a retro modern mashup. The carpeting on the hotel or the floor, it doesn't, I can't tell, but it looks like it may be, uh, well, the pattern is this kind of black and white checkered pattern, but it's not like the traditional one that we're used to. It's has a very kind of contemporary feel to it. And some of you may think that, oh, that looks busy, but with that kind of solid green couch and these gold pillows and these tables with lamps on it, it all seems to have a nice flow to it. It looks really, really seamless. Um, and so what I'm talking about is this checkered floor here. If you can see that, it's looks really, really nice. Let's see if we can pull up the Pendry. So here is a larger view of the Pendry West Hollywood. This is the outside view of it. And there, look at that. Looks classic mid-century lines. It totally fits that aesthetic. This is the pool top. It has the classic umbrellas for the pool, for shading. The structural angles on it, look at that. really, really classic mid-century Hollywood kind of aesthetic there. Uh, let's go into this gallery to see if we can see a larger view of the dining. So look at this. Like, this seems to have a very, very big flourish there. Let me pull it up on this other screen so that I can see well and not be in your way to view it. Okay. Okay. 1 second. Okay. So it starts, well, what I notice almost immediately is this wall of windows. Just look at that massive wall of windows there. Then let me pull it back. It's a slider. So it keeps changing. I'll just have to go with it. Okay. So, and then there's that green walls. So, but they look like green brick walls, right? It almost looks like it has a brick. And so the ceiling is filled with this fabric, right? This kind of almost looks like a tent, almost looks like a fantasy world. And then these chairs almost look wicker, almost like it's an outdoor indoor. So I'm not sure if this is an outdoor indoor space, but it looks like it could be that. They could be alluding to that, and maybe it opens, maybe it closes. We'll have to see about that, but that looks very interesting. So just taking a moment to notice what it feels like when you see this imagery, right? Does it cause you to feel anything? Does it cause you to feel like a sense of wonder, a sense of awe, a sense of anticipation, or is it off-putting? You go, it isn't really my style, my aesthetic. I wouldn't really see myself there. Next up, some of the food that they have there. Salad. It looks like it has some carrots in it and some avocado and some sesame seeds. Moving on. So once again, this rich dark blue banquette. Look at these large flower feathers on top, like pink feathers coming off the top. This the ceiling, the detail in the ceilings are just amazing, right? Every room that we saw, from the metal finish on the first room to the kind of canopy white flowing on the in the dining room, to this one with this what looks like this kind of checkerboard wooden pattern, and very interesting choice of lighting. You know, very, very nice. And I love this banquette, how they have that kind of tufted velvet, and it's kind of this deep, rich, dark blue, and just these very large feathers that just kind of feel like the 1950s era, right? It just feels like classic Hollywood there. And so that is that. Okay. Oh, so here's that larger image that we were discussing earlier of it. And so that's the Pendry Hotel, right? So that's the Pendry. Let's go back to the list. Okay. So before we move on, what did you think of it? Did it resonate with you or no? For some of you, it may have. For some of you, it just may have felt a little distant. But what we do note is that there was a design, right? There was an aesthetic. There was something that was trying to be captured, right? And let me read to you how the Pendry describes itself so that you have that sense, right? It says, "Welcome to West Hollywood. Bold, sophisticated, glamorous. Pendry West Hollywood embraces the best of California's modernism and glamorous life in the Hollywood Hills. This storied location lies at the heart of LA's rich film, music, and cultural history, and pluses pulses with an energy of its own. With a fresh take on modern luxury, Pendry West Hollywood elevates the Sunset Strip to a whole new level of sophistication. And some of the imagery that they have on here just kind of speaks to that. And so I do feel there is some resonance to what they were saying, right? The what we saw on that rich, tufted banquette look, that those bold greens, those bold blues, those very exciting ceilings. That's very dynamic, right? That wall of glass on one side, and then on the other side was this green brick wall that was just stunning, right? How they kind of uh, bookmarked each other. It was a really nice dynamic there. And some of those kind of wicker chairs that you would think would be like outdoors chairs, they were there in that kind of room with lush, verdant plants all around. And so I just think that that was a very interesting dynamic to take. Okay, so moving forward, the second hotel on the list. So this is the Zagara Safari Lodge. So that's the second hotel on the list, is the Zagara Safari Lodge. And so um, Architectural Digest describes it as Botswana's Ovengava Delta is getting a new safari lodge that will be unlike anything else in the region. Red Carnation Hotels will debut this 12-suite lodge conceptualized by Tony Tolman, Philip Ford, and Anton de Koop, who have collaborated with Cape Town's acclaimed Southern Guide Gallery to create a living gallery of bespoke design pieces commissioned exclusively for the lodge and crafted by Africa's most promising young artists and artisans. So this is the image of the Safari Lodge. It has that classic tent structure, right, for the pavilions. There's a body of water, like a very serene body of water running through. There's a dining patio that's elevated as well. Everything is elevated. Everything is a little bit off the ground, and so that's an interesting dynamic to see. You see, they built the lodge right in the midst of the trees, right? The trees are just all enveloping it, right? There's this sense that you are in nature, you are one with nature, you are a part of it, that you are not separated from it. And so that's a nice dynamic to have. So when you think about when you want to find rest, these are some of the things that you want to capture. One, the bodies of water are very resting, they're very calming. The greenscape, having this very lush, verdant greenscape, is a nice dynamic to have. And another element is this sense of being elevated, being lifted, being held, being tended to. So these may be some things that you want to consider if you are going to go on a retreat, or if you need to find a way to bring balance back into your life. Bodies of water, lush greenscapes, and a sense of being elevated or held or tended to. All of those qualities can be very beneficial to finding that sense of balance. And really, that's what we're here to talk about. living a contemplative life, living a mindful life, living with this sense of presence and awareness. We don't simply have to do it in a formal seated practice, right? While it's beneficial to do a formal meditation every day, we can bring this aspect of a contemplative life. We can bring this aspect of tending to our interior life and self-care in every aspect of our life. And so just some of these hotels, I'm just pointing some of the themes out that you can look for in order to find a sense of balance in your life. And just as in the Pendry Hotel, where the ceilings were filled with wonder, where they were filled with these qualities of awe, things that help us to look up, right? To look up. That sense of looking up, it reminds you of the grandeur of it all, the grandeur of life, right? It's one of those philosophical things that we see oftentimes in religious texts and in philosophical texts, this quality of lifting one's eyes, right, towards something greater, towards something grander. And so those ceilings alluded to that. And sometimes if you are feeling stressed out, some of the things that you can do is, if you have a postcard, if you have a note, if you have a vision board, or if you have something, you can just go tape it to your ceiling, right? And as you're laying in bed or as you're laying on the couch, you just look up and you see it on the ceiling, and you can just look at it for a while in a different perspective, right? And if you have a dream, if you have a goal, that's another thing. Paste it to the ceiling, look up at it, see it from a different perspective. That's so these are some of the contemplative lessons that we are gleaning from this article, right? It may not necessarily be explicitly stated, but this is what we can extract as contemplative and as mindful individuals. Okay, so moving forward. Okay, so the next hotel is the Newberry Hotel, and this one is in Boston. And so you look at this hotel and you think, ah, this is New England, right? This is New England sophistication. This is this New England feel. There are everything has a sense of matching balance, right? So the first hotel that we saw, the Pendry, right, it has a sense of a classic elegance and a sense of whimsy to it, right? Larger than life. The second hotel was about being a part of nature, being with nature. This hotel is that everything has its place. There is order. There is a regimented sense to it. This is classic New England kind of luxury, I would say. Everything has a sense of symmetry to it, right? The two sconces on the wall. Let me see. One sconce, two sconces, right? They perfectly frame the fireplace. Above the fireplace is a nicely placed picture. There are two doors which frame the sconces, which frame the picture, right? And which overhangs above the fireplace, right? And everything just has this sense of symmetry, right? And so the Newberry is described as located in posh Newberry Street, overlooking Boston's Public Garden. The Newberry will debut as Boston's most highly anticipated hotel. The building, which dates back to 1927, is getting a top to bottom renovation courtesy of Chemplemad Design, responsible for the 286 rooms and suites, and Jeffrey Beers, who's designing the most, from the public spaces and restaurants. A rooftop restaurant with panoramic views to the park and the street will be helmed by Major Foods Group. So taking a moment to take a deep breath in, inhale, and release. Okay. What'd you think? Was that one that resonated with you? Of the three, of the Pendry, of the Zingara, and of the Newberry in Boston, which one resonated most with you? 1, 2, or 3? Some of you are with 1, some are with 2, some are with 3. Totally understandable. They all kind of speak to different individuals, right? To different personalities. And sometimes it's to different moods that we're in. Sometimes we're in a mood for a little sense of adventure. Sometimes we're in the need of a sense of wonder or a return to tradition or history. And sometimes we just want a sense of order and um, and refinement, right? So all of those hotels speak to that. So I don't think we're going to get through majority of the list. We'll just get through the first 5, I think, and we'll call that um, our time together. So the next hotel is the one and only, and one and only Port Novi. Port Novi. And this is a new resort by luxury brand One and Only. It is the first one in Europe, and it aims to design uh, enthusiast and luxury hotel aficionados to Montenegro. So this one's in Montenegro, and it's designed by Jean-Michel Gaffey. The architect was inspired by the Venetian palaces sprinkled along the Adriatic, but pared down for a contemporary audience. It will have 113 rooms and suites, 4 restaurants, bars, and a spa by Chenault, opening in March 2021. And so when you look at this hotel, it definitely has some of these odes to Venetian style, and you can see it in these archways, right? Instantly, that gives it away, right? These big, bold archways. We see that a lot in Venetian architecture. These red roofs, these red tile roofs, we can see it there. They've went with a very muted color palette, we see, but the stones at the bottom are darker than the stones at the top. They have this lighter sense. They have columns, right? You can see these columns at the very, very top of this one. And it just has a, to me, this is one of those feels, one of those looks that can be like, it feels like it could be Southern California, right, in Orange County. It feels like it could be seen in Florida, in Palm Beach. It has that very, very upscale feel, right? And I know you could probably imagine yourself lying in one of these chaise lounges by the pool, overlooking the Adriatic Sea right there in Montenegro. You think, oh, this place is stunning. This place looks amazing. And I think for some of us, right, this really resonates. And so if you're thinking about a contemplative kind of getaway, perhaps Montenegro would be on the list, one of the places. Okay. So, moving forward, this will be our last one for today. And this is the Azumi Sedota. And instantly, when you see this hotel, you know it has a Japanese design aesthetic. It has the soji screens. It has the Japanese garden outside. It has the very minimalist bamboo floors. It has the almost elevated tatami style bed, and so everything about this it gives it right away that it has a Japanese theme or vibe about it. And so the Azumi Sedota, it says, Adrian Zecca, the pioneering hotelier behind Amman, has teamed up with Japanese hospitality group Nuru Developments to launch a new brand. Conceived as a modern ryokan, Azumi will launch with the first hotel on the small island of Ikujima in the Seto Inland Sea. Kyoto-based architect Shiro Miru is renovating the 140-year-old Japanese compound, balancing the aesthetics of traditional Japanese tea houses with a contemporary touch, opening in March 2021. And so we instantly see that kind of modernist feel, but giving an ode to traditional Japanese style architecture. And so those are the first 5 hotels on the list. I invite you to go check out the rest of the list and see if it gives you a sense of inspiration, to see if it gives you a sense of wonder about everything. And even if you don't particularly go to these hotels, they may help point you towards other hotels or other getaways that you may want to think about, maybe a little more locally, regionally, and or some of the themes that you want to look for when you do go try to find a retreat or an escape. Whether it's the ceilings, whether it's the tradition, whether it's the order and symmetry, or that sense of being in nature, in the environment, right? All of those things are worthy things to consider when you are thinking about rest and relaxation. So those are 5 of the hotels on the Architectural Digest list. And until next time, please take care of yourself, and I will see you later. Let's first take a moment to ground ourselves before we disperse. Taking a deep breath in, inhale, release, inhale, release. All energy, balance is in the heart. May you lead and achieve in life. Namaste. Take care, friend.